everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Energy If You Know, You Know, the podcast that provides a platform for the Gen Z workforce to share their unique perspectives, ideas, and aspirations as they shape the energy industry's future. I'm so excited to introduce you today's guest, Valabdas. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Sheryl.
Yes.
Sheryl
Yes, yes.
started her journey in Mozambique, where she graduated with a bachelor's in geological mining engineering. She then decided to go to the business route and is pursuing her master's in energy economics and management in France from the IFP school, and is currently pursuing an internship with Total Energies as part of her master's program. Thank you for joining me, Sheryl, today, all the way from France. I'm so excited to hear more of your story.
Yes. So thank you very much for your invitation. I really appreciate it. And when I saw the first episode, it was with Lynn. I found it really interesting. And when you contacted me, I felt I really appreciated it.
Yeah,
So
I'm glad to have you here. So let's
yeah.
start with your journey. Tell us who Sheryl is and where you started and where you are now, and how did you get there?
Yes, okay. So my name is Sheryl, as you said. I'm 24 years old and I'm coming from Mozambique. I did my undergraduate in geological and mining engineering. And then after that, when I was trying to look for internships, I couldn't get it. So I decided to pursue a master's degree in energy economics and management at IFP school because I also had an interest in the energy industry. And because my country has been discovering large gas reserves, so this made me decide to pursue the master's degree here in France. And as part of my program, I had an exchange semester at ESSEC Business School where it was more business oriented, and I took some courses related with management. And after that, I went to IFP school where it's a more oil and gas, renewables, and I could learn more about the global energy, climate policies, and all the energy value chain, starting from the upstream, downstream, and even trading. And now I'm doing my internship at Total Energies. It's a 6-month internship, and I'm working as CCS business analyst for Asia Pacific region. Yes.
That's incredible, Sheryl. So you didn't pursue the technical route. You decided to opt out of the geological side and the mining side, and you went towards the more business oriented in the energy industry. Can you tell us a little bit how you went down that route and why you decided to not pursue a technical role in the energy
Yes.
industry?
Yes, I can share with you. What happens is that sometimes I think it's important to have both parts, both technical and also more business, because at some point I thought that I wouldn't be able to continue in this field for in the long run. So that's why I decided to shift a bit to more business oriented courses where I would have more opportunities, because as geological and mining engineer, I wouldn't have much opportunities as much as I have now that I have a master's in energy economics. So that's why I thought about what will be the opportunities that I would have by picking this idea or by choosing the idea of doing my master's degree.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
And are you enjoying it?
Yes, I'm enjoying. And I think this is was one of the best decisions that I ever made.
And
And
why
I'm
is
really
that?
I think because I identified myself at some point that this is what exactly I really wanted to do. But before, I think it was most of the people, or most of the people have the idea of, I'm going to do this because this is the course that will give me money and all of those
Mhm.
all of those things. But we don't know, or we are not very sure about if we actually like it or not. And at some point of my undergrad, I saw myself lost. I didn't know, I wasn't very sure about if I wanted to continue in this path or I wanted to shift. And then the situation was completely different when I started doing my master's degree, because I had a lot of case studies and a lot of energy industry leaders. They came to teach me, so I could have an idea or an overview of how it looks like by working in the energy industry, and I found it really interesting. So that's why I think like it was the best decision I made.
Okay, so you're saying
Yeah.
that having mentorship or more leadership exposure and people in the energy industry helped you really identify what it is you wanted to do. You didn't get
Yes.
that exposure in your undergrad, I assume.
Yes. I didn't get much exposure, and one of the examples was the fact that there was a program that we had to do, like that we had to travel, for example, for a place to see the affloration and everything, but we didn't manage. I think it was because of logistics, but I tried to look for internship opportunities. I had one just to finish my studies, but it wasn't that much. I didn't have much exposure as I had in my master's degree.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is, you mentioned this earlier in our prior conversation you and I had about the difficulties of finding out those internships. But one thing that struck me was the importance an internship had on the trajectory you took. And I think if you want to elaborate on that story, I think it's very touching. It's that story that you decided to go out and take an internship in your undergrad, and it was out in the field, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you decided that you're like, okay, this is not what I like. This is not what I
Yes.
want.
Yes.
And again, another thing that I'd like you to touch on is that this internship was unpaid.
Yes,
Because
it
you
was.
couldn't find anything to support you financially, but you had the curiosity to really identify and pinpoint what it is you like in order to make the next step in your career. So I'd like you to elaborate, how was that thought process? How was that on your ego on taking an internship that was unpaid? A lot of students look for paid internships these days in order to support
Yes.
financially. And how did all of that go, and what challenges and what advice would you give those who are looking for internships these days?
Yeah, so basically for me, it was because I really needed to do this internship in order to finish my undergrad and to present a work, the
Mhm.
monography. And I also wanted to know how it feels like working in the field. So that's why I didn't thought about having a paid internship because it wasn't the case. So I was open to learn about or to have this experience there, and I was just focusing on the result that I will get from it. So what I did was to go to a place, right? It was more in the north of Mozambique. There was no internet connection. And I even thought at some point, like maybe I will take a router and I will show them that it's possible for us to have internet connection. When I got there, I realized that there was no internet connection. And what I did was simply take my phones and put in my suitcase, like I'm just going to live like that and focus on what I came to do here. So
Oh,
in the
okay.
it was difficult because I was not expecting to have this life. But after that, I got used to it and I tried to accept it. So I think we need to be able, for those who are interested in doing things, similar things, I think we need to be open minded and be and accept the different situations that we will be involved.
Okay.
Yes.
How did that help you and encourage you to step out of Mozambique and embark on a new journey outside? New culture, new experiences, new language.
So, okay, what happened is that after I finished my undergrad, I didn't realize how saturated was the job market. And I was very positive about getting an internship because it was after finishing my undergrad. I already had submitted my job and everything, but I was looking to have more in experience, you see. So I thought that I would have a positive response and then that 2 out of 5 applications would be positive because I had good grades, I had good performance at school, so I was very positive that I would get any opportunity. And I remember about the time where I started applying for unpaid internships as well, and just because I wanted to have experience. But unfortunately, I didn't have any interview even because I wasn't called for even an interview for the unpaid internship opportunities that I was looking for. But after that, basically the first interview that I had was to my master's degree. So I saw like maybe it's my time to continue pursuing my studies, and then that's why I decided to go to IFP.
Were you nervous to embark on a new journey outside of Mozambique, away from your family, alone, the language barrier, culture barrier? How was that
Yes,
on you?
Yes, it was really difficult for me because after I got accepted, I knew that a new challenge was coming, and I was used to have to be in a situation where I'm performing very well, and I knew that language barrier would be one of the most difficult parts for me because sometimes I knew that I wouldn't be able to understand some topics because I was not familiar with, and I didn't used to speak English back in Mozambique, so I knew that I would have to focus or to take more time studying and learning about these languages because first I was about to study in English, and second I was going to a French speaking country, so I had to learn both in order to get used to everything in the culture and the backgrounds, the different backgrounds that I would get exposed. So yeah, so basically it was this.
How did you adapt to the new environment? And did you ever feel left out, having to study more than your friends because of the language barrier? And you know, you're a student, you want to go out, you want to network, you want to be with your friends. How did you adapt to that? And what advice would you give to those who are struggling in a similar situation?
Okay, so basically for me, it was very difficult because in the beginning, first, I think I mentioned that I had an online store. I used it to create content back in Mozambique. I used to create content related with fashion, and I also edited videos. So I created a course of video editing. So in order to improve my language, my English, my language skills, be good at school, I had to stop doing all those things that I used to like to do to focus more on my school at school and everything. And what I did was to avoid going out while I was studying. I missed a lot of opportunities of going out with friends and my colleagues from school because I was focused studying. So sometimes it was important for me to, I don't know if there is this word, abdicate or just leave some things to do what made me come to France, that was studying. So, and sometimes in some group works I could see that there were situations where I was not getting involved or included because sometimes you speak and the way you speak or you explain yourself, they don't understand and they don't want to make the effort of understanding you. So at some point I felt left out, and what I did was to show them that I was not feeling comfortable with the situation, and they completely changed the way they were facing the situation. And we ended up having a good result from our work.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
seems like you did sacrifice and you put aside
Yes.
your hobbies and you put
Yes.
aside the things that you love to do and you reminded yourself that you were in France for a goal. And I guess a lot of young professionals and even senior professionals n- always have to remind themselves when they feel left out is or they feel they're missing out on life for their career is to remind themselves where they want to be, what they want to do, and to keep their eye on the prize. And it seems like you did that. Also, what's very important, you said you're 24 years old and you learned confrontation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you felt like you were left out and you didn't just corner yourself and cry about it, but you went and you decided to communicate and confront and say, hey, there's a barrier. Let's figure this out. And
So
that's very mature of you. And that's a very important skill to have, I think. So that's
yeah.
great. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do now in your internship? You said
So
CCS, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's so cool.
Thank you. Yes, now I'm working as CCS business analyst for Asia Pacific region, as I mentioned before. So I'm responsible of trying to understand what are the main emitters in the region, what is the current state of CCS around Asia Pacific region. And as you know, the deployment of CCS depends on the regulatory framework. So I try to see what are the updates of the regulatory framework around the different countries in this region. So this is basically the work that I do, and then I gather all the data to provide to senior business developers, and they go and provide more information to see if we can go to invest in the country or in a specific CCS project. And I also take part of some important meetings related with the projects that are ongoing there.
That's so cool. I
Yes.
forgot to ask you. I do know myself what the CCS mean, but for our listeners, what does CCS stand for?
Okay, CCS stands for carbon capture and storage,
Okay.
meaning that it's a low carbon technology that
Okay.
aims to reduce emissions from industries. So what happens is that you capture the emission, you transport it, and you store underground. Generally, you can store underground, you can use it when it's the CCUS that
Okay.
includes utilization of the CO2.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. And what is your favorite part of the job right now?
So it's being part of the meetings, the important meetings where they give updates of what's going on now. So, and when I see a post on LinkedIn that the company signed a memorandum of understanding with this, I feel very special because I'm part of it, and I think it's very rewarding for me.
Okay, that's another good point. You feel like you're making an impact. Is
Yes,
that
yes,
correct? And is that's
yes,
something that you enjoy?
yes.
Would you want to stay with your current employer, continue, and especially in France, or would you want to go back to Mozambique?
Mozambique. Okay, I think this is one of the questions that I receive the most from people I'm working with, my
Okay.
family and friends and so on. And the thing is that I told to my parents that I'm just going back to Mozambique to visit them once I get a job in France. And I would really like to continue within Total Energies. And this is not because I don't like my country. I love Mozambique. I'm proud of being Mozambican. And I miss the food. I miss everything related with the culture there, but I think it's early to go back. And I know that I still have a lot to learn here and experience to gain. So I'm planning to stay here for at least more 5 years. And of course, I will be proud to work for projects that are related with my country.
Okay, so you want to gain that more experience outside, but you'd like to go back and give back to your country.
Yes,
I-
yes,
That's awesome.
yes.
Are you still feeling left out now that you're done with the studying part of your master's, but are in the work life? Do you still feel left out from
Okay.
going out with your friends? Is work taking over your life, or have you found that work-life balance?
Okay, yes, actually, this was some of the things that I put in my mind when I started the internship, although it was difficult in the beginning, but I told to myself that now it's time for me to enjoy more Paris, know more about the things that are here. And what I did was to join a group of my friends from IFP, and we normally go out during the weekends. So I feel like I feel more embraced now, and I feel like I'm enjoying more Paris now that I'm working. I think it's easier than when someone is studying. And for me, work-life balance is about giving my best to my profession without compromising my personal well-being and relationships as well. So, and as you know, the energy industry changes so fast, and it's important for us to stay up to date and keep reading news about the latest industry trends. But I try to do it in a way that it doesn't jeopardize my personal time. So I think it's also important to mention that the environment we are involved is also contributes to it. As an example, when I started my internship, I used it to work even during the weekends because I wanted to do my best to show my best. Um, but I wasn't seeing that it was not good for me, for my mental health, and for my personal time as well. And my tutor was someone that was key for this time because she showed me the importance of trying to manage or to balance my personal time as well with my professional moment at Total Energies. And I'm thankful about that because now I can manage my time.
Okay, that's good. So you think that you would be able to manage your time without having that mentor give you that guidance?
um
How would you think you would have approached the work-life balance without that help from a mentor?
I think it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult because I wouldn't see. I think it would be difficult, and I would only feel when I'm having some consequences of it. You see? So
Mm,
the good thing is that she noticed that I was really focused on my work, and that I because I use it to talk to her. She's a very friendly person, and I use it to comment like, I worked this weekend and everything. And she was like, try to make sure that you have your time with your family, you have your time for yourself. So, and I think that if I didn't have this time or this person to tell me to stop doing it, I would continue as if it was something good for me because I will be showing that I'm improving and I'm giving results to the company. But at some point in the long run, I will be having consequences, like for my health, you see.
Okay. And how did you seek out this mentor?
No, she is my tutor for Total
Oh,
Energies. Was
okay.
for hiring me and everything. So she
Okay.
was the one that used to guide me in all the work that I'm doing. So
Okay.
since she's a friendly person, I was open enough to talk to her about what I did, what I used to do. So it was easy for me to have this mentorship.
And do you encourage other people to seek out that kind of help within their company, you think?
Yes,
It's
yes, I
helpful.
think it's always important. I think it's always important. And one of the most important things is to know if the person is where you want to be. So if you see that
Okay.
the person at a step where you want to be, try to be more friend and try to ask her for mentorship. But you need to make sure that you are bringing something to the table as well. So I think mentorship is always important for us.
And what is that something that you should bring to the table, in your opinion?
This
What?
means that, for example, they're doing something, they're taking their time to make you a better person. So what you need to do is to show them that you are doing your work and you are giving results to them, you see. So I
Okay.
think it's for us.
So showing that improvement. So,
Exactly.
okay. So kind of the return on investment that they're giving you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And of
Thanks.
course, they will always learn as well. Even though they are mentors, they will learn with us. So if we have something to share with them, it's also important.
Like what?
Sorry?
Like
Like
what?
what? For example, let's consider that I found a book, I found a very interesting book that I read and I got some lessons from it. I can share with her or him, and they might not have heard about the book before. This kind of things, like things that you are working to yourself and you can share with your mentor because they don't know everything. So yeah, I think that
Okay, I like that. And I think that it's very important that you highlighted that a lot of
yes,
young professionals are afraid to approach mentors or senior professionals, and it's because they're intimidated. Like how do I tell them that I need help? How do I so on and so forth? But what they don't
yeah,
realize, and that's something that you just highlighted, and thank you for that, is that we as young professionals have just even if it's a new book or if you can teach them content editing, for instance,
yes,
'cause that's a skill that you are also providing them with valuable information. And
information.
I think that's what's important is this is the beauty of mixing different generations, and it's the beauty of kind of collaboration and being open and asking for that help is you, even if you don't know it, you always have an insight to give
To
and
give.
thing to share. No matter how small, something small might be something big for others. So I,
Yes,
I appreciate you sharing that.
yes.
It's
Thank
very
you.
important.
Yes.
Okay, so finally, I wanted to ask you before we go into our rapid fire questions, is that as you embark on your job search, because you're currently just in your internship, what are the
Yes.
aspirations that you have in your next phase? And what message would you like to share with other young professionals that are in a similar position, trying to move from an internship into an actual permanent job in the real world?
Okay, so basically, my aspiration is obviously to continue working in the company. I'm doing my internship because one thing is saying that you want to work in the company because you have heard about or you read about the company and you think it's good. And other thing is having the experience by yourself. So now that I got the experience, I worked there, I'm more sure that I want to stay within the company, you see? And the message that I will share is that we need to make sure about our choices and see what are the consequences that will come in the future because of the choices that we are making now. I say it because, as I mentioned before, my undergraduate in geological and mining engineering, at some point I felt like I couldn't see myself working within the field in the long run. So I had to take a course of action to change the situation. And I'm really happy for that. So the other thing that I would say is to know yourself, know what you like to do, but at the same time, you need to be open to different opportunities, because this can open you doors that you can't even imagine. I underline the importance of knowing, of having, of being self-aware, because I had an example that happened with me when I was looking for internships. I had my interviews, I went to the first stage, to the second stage, and the second stage was more related with questions about myself, and I couldn't manage to answer it.
Wow.
This is sad because it was about myself, but I wasn't self-aware. And after one month, they sent me an email saying that they are not taking me, and that I didn't get the internship opportunity. I felt sad and I cried that day. But I also, after that, I tried to understand what happened to make me lose this opportunity. And this is when I saw that I wasn't self-aware and that I had to work on it. And there is a post that I put in my mind and that I saw on Instagram that says that God already put your name in big things, and you just need to be ready and have the skills to be qualified to this opportunity. So this is what I did. I worked on myself. I knew which were my weaknesses. I knew that I wasn't self-aware, and I had the interview. After that, I had another interview, and 2 days before I finished my studies or my classes at IFP school, I had an offer to do an internship in the company of my dreams. So it was an offer that was way better than the one previously. So it was just a sign for me to work on myself, to grab the opportunity that was about to come for me.
Thank you for sharing that, Sheryl. It's I honestly, you took a rejection or a sad
Yes,
moment and you decided to use it to your advantage and to better yourself, and it opened up even bigger doors for you. And
yes,
I think that's very important. That's an amazing, I'm not going to talk a lot because that's an amazing message to end with, is to take these opportunities, take these downfalls, and really understand why, and
yes,
lift and use them to your advantage and to move forward, and you'll see how bigger things will open for you. And that's
yes,
great. And how self-awareness is very important. You working on yourself at a very young age. Um,
yes,
that's very that's very incredible and inspiring.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
So let's move on to the final five rapid fire questions. So I'm gonna ask you questions and they're in this or that format. You're gonna reply in this or that, and feel free to
Okay.
elaborate on anyone that you feel like you need to elaborate on.
Okay.
All right. So unpaid internship challenges or waiting for the right opportunity.
Unpaid internship challenges, because I think it's important for us having experience before going to somewhere else. So if this is what we have now, if we only have this opportunity of unpaid internship, I will take it, because the most important thing in the beginning of our career is having experience.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree. Staying quiet or confronting colleagues?
I would say confronting colleagues.
Did that come easy to you, Sheryl?
Yes.
Did that come
Yes,
easy? Did that come
yes,
easy?
I think yes, yes. It's easy for me because I had a course when I started when I was doing my ESSEC, my exchange semester at ESSEC Business School. I had a course called People in Organizations, and I learned I learned a lot about the importance of communication. So if I can confront you, if I can tell you that something is not working well, or if I'm not liking something, or if I want to see like how things can work after, I see that it's important for me to communicate. So
So it took
yes,
some studying. It didn't come naturally
yes,
to you.
yes,
Okay.
it didn't come, and I
Okay.
understand
Again,
the
I
importance.
think that falls
Yeah,
under self-awareness as well.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Staying in France or returning to Mozambique?
For the first 5 years staying in France.
Okay. So you choose both.
Yes,
Okay.
I would.
Traditional career path or embracing unexpected turns?
Embracing unexpected turns, because I think that not every time things happens are as we plan. Because for example, I have a strong interest in starting as economist in the energy industry, but I know that it might not happen as I'm planning. and I need to embrace other opportunities that might come, that might open me doors that are way bigger or way better than the ones that will be opened if I pick the option of going as economist.
Okay.
Yes.
Connections for an easier path or persist through challenges?
The second option. The second option, because yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that or just let it be?
I think I like a lot of challenges.
You
So
like,
yes, yes.
what do
I
you
like
like about it?
I like the fact after going through the challenge, when we look back and we see that we went through it and we managed to get it, the thing that we wanted. So I always like to go through some challenges to get what I want.
That it's that reward. It's the reward. Well,
Yes.
that's amazing, Sheryl. You are very inspiring, and I really thank you for your time and sharing your story with us. That's all I have for you today. I don't know if you have any other final comments you'd like to share.
Also, I want to thank you for inviting me. It was amazing to have to be part of the podcast. And one thing I wanted to share is about the confidence. Like if you had invited me like 2 years ago, I for sure I wouldn't accept because I wasn't confident, and even to speak in Portuguese, I wouldn't be able to do so. But now I'm really happy that I can manage to speak in Portuguese, to talk about my experience, to see how beautiful is my path. So it is something I'm really happy for.
Thank you. And that's the beauty of going through, I think, different experiences is that builds the challenges. So it's important for us to have that growth mindset to again persist through the challenges because that really does help build your confidence. So I'm really glad you did
Yes.
amazing. I wouldn't have guessed that you 2 years ago did not know how to speak English. I mean, this was incredible. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for this.
So thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, bye, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay, bye.